What's up guys, Nand here. Today we'll be doing a performance review of the Star Wars Battlefront Beta. Now, coming into this, I wanted to know three things. I wanted to know how well it played from a overall stability perspective, I wanted to know how well it benchmarked, and I wanted to know how well it performed with 3440 by 1440 ultra-wide screens and 21:9 content. So, for the testing, I was using an i7 5820K overclocked to 4.2 GHz, 16 GB of Corsair DDR4 RAM, Asus X99A motherboard, an Asus GTX 980. Yes, I am an Asus fanboy. GTX 770 classified and a 1000 watt FSP gold power supply. For my display, I'm using a Dell U3415W ultrawide with a 21:9 aspect ratio and a native resolution of 3440 by 1440. In terms of software, I'm using Windows 10 with a NVIDIA 358.50 game ready driver. I'll just quickly explain how I did the benchmarks. I decided to do 3 sets of 5-minute runs at 3440 by 1440, 2560 by 1440, and 1920 by 1080p. At ultra, medium, and low settings. From there, I would take the average of all of the results. I didn't change anything or any of the settings away from the presets and left them exactly as they were. Now, as for the map choice, there were 3 options. There was Drop Pod, Survival, and Walker Assault. I chose Walker Assault, and I realized that quite a few in the comments below will say that it will produce the most inconsistent frames. And to that, I say, you actually have a valid point. While Walker Assault is the most varied in terms of the environment, it's also the most taxing on the cards itself. And that's exactly what I wanted to test for. I wanted to test for the worst case scenario in order to better portray what kind of frames you'll be getting in the worst case. And let's face it, you're not going to be playing Star Wars for the team deathmatch. So, on to the results. So this is the graph for the average frame rate for Walker Assault across all the benchmarking that I did. So you can see with the GTX 980 starting off at 3440 by 1440, we're getting 54 frames at ultra, 82 at medium, and 117 at low. Really across the board with the 980, I was really impressed at how smoothly the game ran. So if you've got a 980 or something similar like R9 Fury X, you'll be absolutely safe to play this game at ultra for 3440 by 1440. I mean, it's not above 60, the average frame rate, but honestly, it was pretty smooth. I'm really happy with how the card ran. But what I was more impressed with was how the GTX 770 actually handled the game. So at ultra, yeah, it was never going to be playable at ultra, but for medium and low settings, man, it really did offer a pretty enjoyable experience. Averaging 53 frames per second at 3440 by 1440 and 75 at low. I mean, the game still looks good and the game plays pretty well. I would consider that playable at medium and low settings. Ultra, definitely not really choppy, but at medium and low, yeah, you can do it. So anything around a 770, you'll actually be able to have a decent experience, given that you're going to have to compromise on some of the eye candy. But yeah, no, really surprised with how the 770 went there. Good job, EVGA. So for those of you curious, I did extra record the min and max frame rates as well. So I've just left these up here. The link will be in the description below, just so you can kind of have a look and make any judgments you want based on that. Really, my recommendations are, though, if you've got a 770, if you're willing to compromise on the image quality, you can still get a good experience with a average, with a medium or low setting. With the 980, you'll be good across the board. Now, with the benchmarking out the way, we can actually talk about how the game actually performed. I played about 12 hours over the beta weekend, and to sum up the performance in the words of Linus, it's actually pretty darn good. I was really impressed with the overall stability of the game and the polish in terms of the technical performance. While there still are a lot of things to be fixed with the gameplay mechanics, the actual performance related to the hardware and overall stability is really good. I had some issues with the matchmaker in the first hour of the beta, which was to be expected. It kept on dropping out, losing connection. And there was also an issue with the heroes. Now, if a hero spawned near you, it wouldn't actually load the hero, but it would load the lightsaber. So you'd just see a floating lightsaber wreaking havoc and chaos throughout the battlefield. But apart from that, the gameplay was really smooth. The world is absolutely beautiful. If you haven't checked out any gameplay footage or screenshots, you really should. There were no issues with the draw distance, texture pop-ins, or weird tessellation things, which I was really pleased about, again, apart from the loading lightsaber bug. I even tried to crash the game deliberately running windowed borderless, which is very unstable most of the time. But even running the game in windowed borderless with OBS, fraps, and consistently alt-tabbing out to mess with settings, the game still didn't crash. So as far as I'm concerned, well done, EA. As for how the game performs at 3440 by 1440, I was again super surprised and super happy with how it actually works. Straight up from loading the game, I had no issues, didn't have to mess around with anything. It all loaded perfectly. No issues with scaling. The menus are nicely formatted, and the UI as well, all nicely formatted so it fits properly onto the screen. Overall super gorgeous. So if you do have a 3440 by 1440 or 21 by 9 aspect ratio, you won't have any problems picking up the game and playing it as it is. The in-game options as well are excellent, and there's plenty of them for you to mess around with in the options menu. And that pretty much wraps up my first ever video for YouTube. I will say that while the technical performance of the game is pretty impressive for a beta, there are still a lot of things about the game that need to be fixed before the launch, mainly in terms of the gameplay mechanics. There are balance issues with Walker Assault, the bugginess of the heroes, and I'm about as impressed with the vehicle controls as the Walker Assault. I think is being addressed by the Walker Assault. I think is being addressed by the developers, so that's something that's good that came out of the beta. If you do want to check out any more gameplay content related to Star Wars Battlefront, I highly suggest you go check out Joker Productions' channel. He did two very good videos on why Battlefront sucks and what it does right. The graphs I will link in the description below. And I just want to say thank you for watching. If you've got any criticism or feedbacks, this is my first video, so I will be looking to improve them in the future. So please leave any comments in the comments below, I guess. And yeah, I'll check it out. See you in the next one.